This week we'll be talking about how to find research articles. Also, we'll go over on how to use the different search engines available to you, as there are different ways to acquire a research article and some extra steps you might need to do to get the full text. We'll learn how to use a referencing program, which will make citing when you are writing a lot easier, and going over referencing in general, which is a big component when writing any type of research paper. The major search engine for finding research articles is PubMed. This is the go-to search engine that a lot of graduate students, professors, and researchers will use when writing papers. In the next few slides, we'll go over PubMed and how to use it. Another option is relating to Google. I'm sure we're all familiar with Google when searching online for something, but Google also has an area dedicated for journal articles. Google Scholar is another option to find these research articles on a selective topic of your choice. Another way to access research articles is through ResearchGate. I'm sure a lot of you have never heard of ResearchGate before, and I've never heard of this website until I got into graduate school. So I thought it would be a good idea for you to hear of this website so you can look around and possibly use it for this class or in the future when trying to find some research articles. But as you can see, I have the links for each search engine, and we'll talk about each one and their differences over this lecture. So we just went over some research engines to find research articles on selective topics that you can use for the literature review for this class and for future reference. Other options to find research articles is using the university's library and using interlibrary loan. Interlibrary loan isn't a search engine per se, but can use it to request an article. Out of the two services that the university offers, Interlibrary loan will probably be the most used just because the search engines in the slide before are a bit better. However, though, the library service will come in handy once in a while. So now let's take a look at PubMed and how to utilize the website appropriately. Once you go to the website, the home page will look like this. In the search bar, you can type in keywords such as resistance training, nutrition and exercise, type 2 diabetes and low carb diet, whatever area you want to look at. You can also type in the author's name of the research paper into the search bar, or the title of the research article if you already know it. After that, it will find all the research articles relating to that topic, which you can browse through thousands of research articles. After all the thousands of research articles that are populated, you can use the filter to narrow down the number of research articles by what type of research article you want, such as a clinical trial, a randomized control trial, or a review paper. You can also adjust the date ranges, and you can tell by the bar chart the number of research articles for a particular year. Lastly, you can check the text availability, where you'll want to check mark the free text and full text boxes. The main thing for searching research articles is that you want to retrieve a paper where they did an intervention and not a review paper. However, a review paper can get you started by giving you a broad overview of the topic, and you can look at the references they use in that paper to go get the original research paper and read it. Having and reading the actual intervention study can give you a better understanding of the area or your selective topic. Once you find an article that fits your area of interest, which can be from the title of the paper, you can click on it to get more information. You can see once you click on the research article, it will tell you the type of research paper it is. So in this example, this paper is a randomized controlled trial. You can also see the full list of authors for the paper and the abstract. The abstract gives you the main important points of the research study. One thing though is not to just read the abstract, you'll want to actually read the paper in its entirety to see if it is good or not. This page will also let you know that it is a free article and provide you with a full text link on the right side. Another option with PubMed is that you can click on one of the author's name and see what research they have conducted in the past. Go and click on the full text link and download the research article as a PDF. You will then be able to read the entire research study. The paper will contain the abstract, introduction, methodology, statistical analysis, the results, and discussion. Most papers will also have a limitation section that the authors state on why they couldn't do certain things, or that they could be due to the participants they have selected or other various things. You can see that some of the sections within a paper ties back into the scientific method in which we talked about previously. In the next couple of weeks, we'll learn how to read a research article appropriately by breaking down each section and what they contain. Now moving on to Google Scholar, this is an alternative search engine to PubMed. One notable thing of Google Scholar is that it isn't as good as PubMed. Google Scholar has fewer options to refine the search, and it may not always have the full free text. In Google Scholar, you'll have to click on the title to see if the article is free. Sometimes, though, it will have a PDF link next to the article if it is available. Since there aren't as many free full text in Google Scholar, this is where you'll utilize the interlibrary loan service that the university offers. Even though Google Scholar has fewer options to narrow your search, a similar feature to PubMed is being able to click on the author's name to bring up their past research they have conducted. One limitation, though, is that the author's name has to be underlined whenever you see it on the website. For you to see their previous work, the author must create a profile, which gives them that underline. Majority of researchers will opt in and create a profile, as this can be beneficial for them in their future. When you look at their profile, you can see their published research papers and how many times that research paper has been cited and the year in which it was published. Further, on the right side, you can see how many citations they have had in each year. Another thing with this Google Scholar profile is that below the citations, it will list other authors' profiles that they've worked with. A big thing with Google Scholar is that it contains an H index and an I-10 index. An H index is Hirsch index. This measures the impact of the scientist and how they contribute to the field. The H index is calculated based on published papers and how many times it has been cited. The I-10 index is only used in Google Scholar, which is the number of publications with at least 10 citations. As I mentioned earlier, most researchers will create a profile because some universities will look at these metrics when searching for new professors or researchers. With ResearchGate, this is more geared towards social networking. Like any other social network, this allows you to follow other researchers and have other researchers follow you. If you go to ResearchGate, you will see a number or an RG score by the individual's name. This is based on the research they have in their profile and how other researchers interact with it. This can be done by other researchers downloading the research paper, citing it, or even sharing, whatever the case may be. A feature, though, with ResearchGate is that you can request the full text from the author themselves rather than going through the interlibrary loan service. However, you may not ever get a response back, as this is not widely used, and using the interlibrary loan service is better. In some cases, though, it can be useful and that individuals will actually respond to you. Using the university service can be a great source on finding information, as it can be similar to PubMed and Google Scholar when searching research articles. When you go to the website, click on Articles and More to start your search by using keywords or the title of the research article. Similar to other search engines, you can use filters to narrow your search, such as the publication date range and full text online. Since you are using the university service, there is also a chat system on the right side if you have any questions or issues when trying to find articles. Interlibrary loan, as I mentioned earlier, is a service to request an article if you cannot get the free full text through PubMed, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, or even through the library. When you request using this service, the library will use other libraries throughout the country to retrieve this information. Some schools will not have a subscription with a certain journal, while other schools will. And by doing so, this will ultimately get your information or the journal article that you're looking for. By requesting an article, this will be in PDF form and will take about 1 to 3 days. But if it's an older article, such as like the first study ever performed in that area, it might take a little bit longer, from maybe ranging from up to a week or maybe a couple weeks. It will all depend. But during my graduate school, I would often use the interlibrary loan service, which was great, and I'm sure that you guys will too. Once you click on the link, you will need to click on Article Request Form and fill out the fields accordingly. When you are filling out this form, you will need to put information relating to the research article that you want the full text of and then submit. You can see the red asterisk is required while the others are optional. But depending on the age of it or how difficult it may be to find, even with the required information, putting in additional information such as the issue number, pages, and publisher can help. So one thing is where do you find all this information at? When you look at the website page of selecting an article, it will have other information besides the article title, the author's names, and the full text link. The page will give you the journal abbreviation, which is highlighted in green. In this case is MedSci Sports X, but its full name is Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise. It will also give you the year and month the paper was published, which is highlighted in yellow. The volume and issue numbers is highlighted in orange, and lastly, the pages is highlighted in blue. This information can be useful when using interlibrary loan service, and more importantly, when referencing when writing a research paper. At the end of research articles, there will be a reference section which is dedicated to all the research papers that were used within the paper. There are specific reference style instructions depending on the journal. In this example, the authors are listed with their last name, followed by their initials of their first and middle name. Following the author's names is the title of the paper, and then the journal it was published in. The last portion of this reference is the year it was published, the volume and issue, and then the pages. Overall, this is going to give you an idea of how referencing appears in this section. When writing any type of research paper, it is important to cite throughout. By citing, this gives the authors credit for their work, and most likely you are mentioning some finding from them. Citing them in the paper will be in-text citation. Depending on the journal you submit to, they will ask the in-text citation be numbered or cited as the author's last name. A thing to mention is that when you are writing and mention a finding by, say, Buckner and colleagues, in this example on the right side, you will still need to provide an in-text citation. Further, in-text citations at the end of the sentence can pretty much contain just one reference or multiple references if all of the studies share a similar finding. As I just mentioned, at the end of research articles, there will be a reference section or page that lists all of the research articles used within the paper. However, the order in the reference page can be either in alphabetical order or citation order. What I mean for citation order is that whatever study I cite first in the research paper, that will be the first one listed in the reference page, regardless of the author's last name. Another thing is, or kind of a trick with the reference page, is that you can use this section to find other articles to read or utilize within your own paper. So if you find a particular sentence or two that piques your interest in the paper that you're reading and see the reference that they use, you can read that actual study and then formulate your own opinion. When creating references for a journal based on their specific style, it can be tedious and cumbersome if done old school. This can be an issue where you submit your paper to one journal and get it rejected, and then submit it to a different journal with different criteria, and then you have to change the in-text citation and then the references at the end. Luckily though, there are some referencing software programs that make it a lot easier on you. There are two popular ones. One is Zotero and the other is EndNote. We'll go over Zotero and how to use it. I personally use Zotero when writing papers, and I find it a lot easier to use compared to EndNote. However, some other professors and other researchers love EndNote compared to Zotero. It's all personal preference. Please click on the link which will take you to the main page for Zotero. Once you're there, go to the online login, which is in the top right corner, and register. It is free to register and free to use. After you register and verify your email address, go and download Zotero and the extension for either Google Chrome, Firefox, or whichever web browser you use. However, it is more ideal to use either Google Chrome or Firefox when using this software program. Once you add the extension to your browser, it will be located next to the search bar. Once everything is downloaded, open up Zotero using the icon on your desktop. This will open up your Zotero library and should look like this. This is your library that will contain all the references you save, and it can also save PDF files relating to that reference. Now we'll go over how to use Zotero. Go to PubMed and go to a research article and click the link to go to the page with all the information in full text link. Once you're there, go to your browser extension and click the button. This will save all the information such as the article title, author names, journal, year, volume and issue, and pages to your library. One big thing though is that you must keep Zotero open to save all this information. If it is closed, it will give you a warning saying to check Zotero and to open it. The reason why we're going to PubMed is just because that this is the easiest way to reference everything. It doesn't really work well with Google Scholar or even ResearchGate compared to PubMed. After you click and save from your browser extension, the article will be populated into your Zotero library and should look like this. Now that you have completed that, we can learn how to use Zotero when writing a research paper. First, you want to open up a Word document and start typing. Once you are finished writing a sentence or two, click on Zotero within the listed tabs on the top. Then click on the Add Edit Citation button. After you click on the Add Edit Citation button, a citation style menu will pop up. Select the APA citation style. When writing for specific journals though, you can select their citation style and Zotero will automatically do everything for you when you do in-text citation and make the reference page. You can check this out by going to Manage Styles and then click on Get Additional Styles. You can then type in the journal you're writing for and then download that style to the menu so you can select it. However, for this purpose, just select the APA style. Once the style is selected, a citation pop-up will appear and you will need to start typing in it to get your reference. You can type in the journal article or the author's name. Once you get that, you will then click on the journal article and hit enter. This will then have the author's name and year. Hit enter again to add the citation within the document. In this case, for APA style, it will be the author's last name and the year. Now it's time to make a reference section. To do that, click on the Add Edit Bibliography button. This will then generate the full appropriate reference relating to the style selected. If you want to add more in-text citations, you can. Go ahead and click on the citation which you just created. It will then be highlighted. Next, click on the Add Edit Citation button. You can then add more citations within that pop-up and then hit enter. If you know all the references used, you can do all of this when you first add the in-text citation. This portion is to help if you find a paper later on and want to add it in or just forget to cite while you're writing. After you add more in-text citations or just more citations throughout the paper in general, the reference section will update. Again, depending on the journal, it will be either in alphabetical order or citation order. As you can see, using a software program is a lot easier than if it were done manually. Hopefully using Zotero isn't too difficult for you and that you can see the benefit from it. This will definitely be useful when writing your literature review. If you're having trouble using Zotero, please let me know by sending me an email. So before next class, please complete the reference assignment, which is due Monday, September 7th by 11:59 p.m. The reference assignment will be posted in Canvas in a Word document with instructions for you to complete. One thing to note is that there will be no quiz following this lecture. Another thing to start thinking about is start searching and coming up with a topic for your literature review and presentation. This can be related to nutrition, sports performance, resistance training, supplements, any kind of topic relating to exercise science. Please email me for approval if you do figure out what topic you want to go on. The sooner the better, because this topic for approval should be done by September 28th.